tell you a little bit about the health care bill. You know, the health care crisis was manufactured by government, and now government is using the crisis that it created as an excuse to get even bigger, and unfortunately it's going to drive health care costs even higher. No, there are some very basic solutions to this problem that don't cost any money and simply involve the free market. Now, the free market is a wonderful thing because one of the things that it does is it drives quality up and prices down. And it works everywhere it's tried. We all have cell phones, we all have computers, we have plasma TVs. Every year they get better, and every year they get cheaper. Why isn't that the same case for healthcare? Why is healthcare getting more expensive? And the reason is government. Government has involved itself in healthcare. Government has erected barriers that prevent market forces from working. So the simple solution to the problem is to remove the government impediments to the market so that it can function. Now, the most important thing that the government did is they encouraged the overutilization of insurance, and people now use health insurance to pay for ordinary, everyday medical expenditures. Why do they do that? They do that because of the tax code. The tax code says if your employer gives you wages, you got to pay taxes on it. But if your employer gives you a health plan, there's no taxes. So that has created an incentive for employees to want their health care paid by insurance companies. And this has driven the cost out of control because you have a third-party payer. Nobody cares what anything costs because somebody else is paying for it. And the doctors they have so many people that do nothing but fill out forms for insurance companies. If you come in, for a flu or a sprained ankle, there's all this insurance. So we need to get that out. We need to separate insurance from employment. Nobody gets their car insurance for their job. You don't get your fire insurance. You don't get your life insurance. Why are we making health insurance part of employment? There's a simple solution that doesn't cost the government a quarter. All the government can do is say that any individual who works for an employer that provides health insurance can opt out of that health insurance and take the cash tax-free. And so if your employer is giving you $10,000 worth of health insurance, let him give you $10,000 in wages. It doesn't cost the government a quarter. The money doesn't go to the insurance companies, it goes to the employee, and then he can buy whatever insurance he wants. He can look for a lower cost plan and put the savings in his pocket. And the other thing the government can do to drive down insurance premiums is, number one, they can eliminate all the laws that make it illegal for insurance companies to compete with one another, again, over state lines. They can, it's illegal for Japanese insurance companies or Swiss insurance companies to sell health insurance in this country. Why? Open it up to competition. We can buy foreign cars. Why can't we buy foreign insurance? It'll bring the cost down.
The other, how much money do you have invested in America? I heard you have done.
Very little,
You're
unfortunately.
not American. You're bad. No,
Let me finish my presentation. No.
You're not. You're not one for the U.S. Senate.
Go back to Ireland. Go back to Ireland. Go back to Ireland.
No money invested in America.
The rest. Yes. So
how much money does she have invested in America?
Probably nothing.
How much money do you have invested in America?
But,
How much money we involved?
let me finish the health care and I'll get to your question. The other thing that the government can do is stop mandating insurance companies to cover things that people don't need. Right now, the government tells the insurance companies everything they have to cover that drives up the cost. It's like if the government said that all cars have to be fully loaded. You have to have a sunroof, you have to have cruise control, you have to have navigation, you have to have leather seats, you have to have, sports wheels. Why? Why can't people buy the insurance coverage they want? Why do they have to buy all the things the government requires? So, something they can do, and something that Dick Blumenthal will never do, is real tort reform. It's the lawyers that malpractice insurance is now so expensive that many doctors have to retire because they can't afford the premiums. And you've got doctors performing all this unnecessary tests simply because they don't want to get sued. So we got to get the lawyers out of the health care system. And that's what's going to bring down health more the government gets involved in health care, the worse it's going to get and the more it's going to cost. And I'll tell you one thing about this gentleman's point. The reason
You're betting on China. Shame on you.
the reason
Why do you bet on America, Peter?
I want to bet on America, but the government stacked the deck against America. I represent my clients. I employ over 100 people in this country. How many people do you employ here?
You don't even have a house. You're a renter.
As a matter of fact, yeah, anyway, I pay a lot more taxes in the state of Connecticut than you do. But the reason that I have to invest abroad is because the U.S. government is undermining our economy. They're destroying our currency, and they're regulating and taxing our businesses to death. Why should I encourage my clients to make investments that are going to lose the money? I have to do whatever I can to protect their wealth. Unfortunately, because of Washington, there's more capitalism in communist China than there is right here in America. And if capitalism would work in China, we ought to try it here. And if we did, if we reduced taxes and we reduced regulation, I'd be happy to invest in American companies. Believe me, you think it's easy to send money abroad? It'd be much easier to invest here. But it's difficult when the government is destroying our businesses and destroying our money. If they're going to wipe out the value of the dollar with inflation, what good is it? If I told my clients to buy U.S. Treasuries, they'd be wiped out just like everybody else.
That's right.
We're going to need some Americans to have some real wealth to rebuild this economy once we finally get our act together. We're going to be glad if some of my clients who are American citizens have gold, have Swiss francs, have money in China, because they can bring it back and help rebuild this country. Anyway, so if I can get to the U.S. Senate, one of the first things I'm going to do when I get there is work to repeal this Obamacare legislation, as well as all the other unconstitutional, anti-free market, anti-freedom legislation that has been passed over the last generation. And try to restore the Constitution and restore respect for liberty and capitalism that made this country great. Unfortunately, the country is ruled by a bunch of socialists right now that don't believe in these principles, that think that the only way to prosperity is through central government planning because they think they know more than the market. They think they care more and they think they're smarter. But everything that they want to do has been tried and it's failed every place it's been tried. The only thing that works is freedom and the markets and capitalism, and our founders knew that when they wrote this Constitution. We just have to bring those principles back to Washington, and that's what I'm going to do with your help if I get elected.